Joined on the line by the weather forecaster at the South African Weather Service, Mnikeli Ndabambi. Mr. Ndabambi, good morning to you.
Good morning, Xolani, and good morning to the listeners.
Thank you. For how much longer then will this bad weather continue?
Actually, the conditions are easing now, are giving a break today. Because most of the countries will find that it will be just a few clouds during the day, and then with isolated afternoon thunder showers. But then it's going to take time to really dry for some areas that were quite muddy, more especially in the KZN and also the low-lying areas there. But then today, it's Wednesday, looking at tomorrow, that cut-off low weather system that gave us rain has shifted now to be just over the southern part of Namibia, but it's weak. But tomorrow, it's going to shift to the south a bit. But the areas that will receive scattered showers are more the areas in the central parts. Your Free State, if I can draw a boundary like within Bethlehem, Ladysmith, let's say within Queenstown, DR, and Kimberley. If you draw a circle around that, so those are the areas that will have scattered thunder showers.
Sure.
But then people should still be aware of isolated storms, maybe one or two, because those can also come up anytime over the central interior. But the chances of severe thunderstorm have decreased significantly now, and also the chances of widespread heavy rain is actually gone at the moment.
Right, isolated storms, you say, and that people must be ready for those. I just want to know, because there's been reports, particularly in KZN, that people must be quite wary, and that this month in particular, next month maybe, is going to be quite difficult.
KwaZulu-Natal, if you notice, Xolani, they've been receiving rain almost every week, a couple of days in weeks. Mm-hmm. That's why, in giving out some advisories this week, we're sort of concentrating on the fact that the soil in KwaZulu-Natal is already saturated. So then the rain will just cause challenges. So it's important for KZN to be more careful. If we forecast rain for KZN, the soil is still saturated because it just rains for most of the time in those areas. Sure. And then although going also to the weekend, Saturday, for example, it will be more concentrating in the Eastern Cape. I think they won't have enough time to dry up. So the moment that the rain is forecast for KZN, it's going to be quite a challenge.
All right. I just want to talk about the issue of the warnings and how people can use the warnings that you give out. In other words, the early warning systems. Do we have those, and are they effective in your view?
We do have early warning system, Xolani, but it is, this thing is starting from awareness. Mm-hmm. Is there an understanding of the people? If you will notice that the Southwestern Cape, there is more awareness than most part of the country, because of the frequent changes in weather due to the frontal systems, and you'll find that people are so curious there. They question the newspapers if the weather was not there, if there was something wrong, they question. So it starts with awareness. And then from the awareness, then it should go to planning. So the early warning system, Xolani, is only effective if it's integrated. So you're planning, if, for example, your public works and other role players, now that we've seen the weather situation change, so how do we use the historic data, climatological information? Mm-hmm. Do we still build in some areas? If we build, what kind of structures we build in those areas? And then you come to the early warning system itself. We've got what we call National Disaster Management Advisory Forum, where you've got all the role players playing place. It is coordinated by the Department of Corporate and Transnational Affairs, led by the National Disaster Management Center. So you've got your disaster management plans nationally, provincially, municipality level, and where possibly even more locally.
Right.
As we speak, Xolani, the challenge is that at the local level, the disaster management plans are not fully functional. Because through those disaster management plans, as the South African Weather Service, for example, will alert the disaster management authorities a few days, even if we've got a high level of uncertainty, and then we can communicate by telephones. So then, even when we give warnings, you find that those that need action, some of them have got very short lead time, less than an hour.
Okay.
So we'll send SMS to the disaster management authorities.
All right. You know what? I've really got to thank you very much. And just turn to the head of the National Disaster Management Center, Ken Terry, who's on the line for me now to pick up on the very discussion. Ken, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. Because then it's about how we effectively use the information that comes through from the South African Weather Service. How do we ensure that we save lives through the proper use of this information?
Well, as was indicated by the gentleman from the Weather Services, the disaster management is broken up into three spheres, and we start at the municipal level. It goes to a district level, then the province, and then we got the National Disaster Management Center. And these spheres are all coordinated. And what we do is all the information that does come through from any of the areas that would affect South African citizens, whether it be weather related or any other relation, that information is filtered through on a continuous basis. And as was indicated, there is an expectation that every province, every district, every municipality must have a disaster plan. And these plans are based on this forecasting information that we do have, and also on historical data. You would find that in KZN, where the PDMC does coordinate the districts and the municipalities, and part of their education processes and their processes of making people aware of what's going on. Their plans are then formulated in such a way to deal with these climate-related issues.
Sure.
And it is coordinated by the province. And only once there is now a real challenge that the provinces cannot deal with these issues, then they do come to the National Disaster Management Center.
Because I think the concern, though, is really that the far-flung rural areas, do they get this information on time, and do they have enough time to act on this information?
Well, with the processes that we've got in place for our education, training and awareness, we try to filter that down as far as possible. Obviously, from a national center, it's very difficult to outreach to the smallest areas. That's why it's broken down into the provinces and districts. And we there's a real effort to make sure that this is the information gets to where it should be.
Sure. Sorry, I just want to ask you a little bit, just the last question about the municipalities, because the concern again raised by Mr. Ndabambi is that perhaps the municipalities and the plans aren't as effective at that level.
Well, it's also just the capability of the municipalities to really embrace the disaster management. You know, there's a process of our IDPs where the plans, the integrated development plans for each municipality has to be there, of which disaster management does form part of that. So we really try to get the information down as far as possible.
Okay.
But just to say that, you know, these weather-related issues, even the forecasting that you do get from the Weather Bureau, which is very, very accurate, sometimes, you know, the flash flooding would happen in a specific area, and the result of that flash flooding would be 50, 60 kilometers away.